Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Our next sabak today is, we are going to look at the second articulation point for the tip of the tongue letters. And आज का जो articulation point है, the second articulation point for the tip of the tongue are for the letters Sod, Zai and Sin. Sod, Zai and Sin. Now as I said, these are the tip of the tongue letters. So all the sound comes from the tip of the tongue touching certain areas of the mouth. Last week we did the letters po, da, and ta, and we said the tip of the tongue touching the gum line of the top central incisors, the biting teeth, right? Today we will look at the tip of the tongue when it touches the lower incisors. Last week it was the upper incisors. This week we are talking about the tip of the tongue touching the lower incisors. So let's look at the definition here. इसमें जो what's been mentioned here is the three letters Sod, Za, and Sin. They are articulated or they are emitted when the tip of the tongue touches the plates of the lower incisors. Okay, when the tip of the tongue touches the plates of the lower incisors, and the lower incisors are the two biting central incisors. Okay, in all these three letters, if you notice, Sod has a whistling sound, Zai has a buzzing sound, and Sin has a hissing sound. Okay, these three letters have certain sounds that when they are when we put a hamza before that, we can hear the sound of the whistle in Sod, like the whistling of a wind. Let me do it for you here so that you can. Okay, now when I put the hamza before Sod, and I put a sukoon on the Sod, and I say us, you can hear the sound of the air coming out from Sod, and it sounds more like the whistling sound of wind. Okay, in Za you will hear the buzzing sound, like the buzzing of a bee. Az. So it's like a buzz, the buzz of a bee. In Sin, you will hear the sound of hiss, as. You can hear the sound of the hissing sound, the hissing of a snake. So look, think of these three sounds. And why is this happening? How is this happening? Because the tip of the tongue is close to the plates. I said bring the tip of the tongue and touch, but there is actually a gap between the tip of the tongue and the plates of the teeth. What are the plates of the teeth, sisters? What are the plates of the teeth? Let me show you here. When I say
Gum line, sister.
no, they are not gum line. Let me explain it.
Inner side of
We are recording, so
sister?
can you keep your questions later, sisters? We are recording, so we'll keep the questions later, okay? Inshallah. So this is our teeth, okay? This is the lower teeth, the middle teeth, okay? The middle two teeth in the lower jaw. That's where your tongue is coming. The inside part of the teeth, not the outside part, the body of the teeth, right? Let me show you. Let me color it and show it to you. This part of the teeth from the inside, not from the outside. The surface, the inside surface of the teeth are called plates of the teeth. Okay, so this is what is called the plates of the teeth. Okay, so what you do is you bring your tongue close to the surface of the teeth, the plates of the teeth, and don't touch it. It doesn't touch. Okay, you leave a gap. There's a gap between the tongue, the tip of the tongue, and the plates of the teeth. And that's how you get the sound of us. If I touch it, I am blocking the sound. I'm closing off the sound. So there is a gap there and the sound runs out. Okay, it runs out, and that's the reason why you get this whistle in the sound. Us. Okay. Okay, let's look at how they are defining it here. The three letters are emitted from the tip of the tongue and the plates of the two lower incisors. The sound passes above the two front lower incisors between the upper and lower incisors. So what is happening? Because of this gap, the sound goes in like this. Let me choose another color. Okay, because of the sound, because of this gap, the sound flows out between the upper and lower incisors. Okay, and that's the reason why you have the whistle. That's the reason why you have the buzz, and that's the reason why you have the hiss to the sound, because it is traveling between that space and then it is coming out between the upper and lower incisors. It's coming out from there, and that's why you have the buzz, the hiss, and the whistle in the sound. Okay, here again, they are mentioning here, okay, look at this. There is a little space left in between the tip of the tongue, let's underline this, and the plates of the teeth when pronouncing these letters. So you're not shutting off the sound. You're not imprisoning the sound. You're keeping that gap between the tip of the tongue and the plates of the teeth for the sound to escape. And that's the reason why you get these distinct quality, this distinct sifat. Okay, this distinct sifat is called the sifat of Safir. And that's the reason why you got, and it's called collectively, it's called Safir, and it means the hissing, the whistling, the buzzing of these three letters. Okay, now let's look at the letters individually. We know that the letter Sod, again, all these three letters share the same makhraj for all the three letters. That is, the tip of the tongue is brought close to the plates of the lower incisors, lower central incisors. It does not touch. There is a gap between the tip of the tongue and the plates of the central incisors, lower central incisors, and the sound escapes out through the mouth between the upper and lower teeth. Okay, that's how it's emitted, right? Okay, now in Sod, what's happening? You know that Sod is a letter of isti'ala, the thick letter, tafkhim letter. So the back of the tongue is raised up. Okay, the back of the tongue is raised up all the way to the roof of the mouth. It's one of the letters that has is high up on the hierarchy of istiala, right? So it has the back of the tongue raised up all the way to the roof of the mouth, close to the roof of the mouth. And the tip of the tongue is close to the plates of the lower teeth. Okay, so the sound is going to be thick, tafkhim, istiala. Now, in Sod, is the sound stopped? No. Remember, I said there's a gap between the tip of the tongue and the lower teeth. So the sound is running in Sod. Okay, the sound runs in Sod. That's why you can hear the sound. I don't say us, us, us. No, I say us, us, us. And what else can you hear? I can feel the running of air. Okay, there is air also running in along with the sound. So I can feel the air running along with the sound. There's running of sound, there's running of air. So as soon as I hear running of air, I know there is humps. Okay, okay. So keep in mind the back of the tongue is raised up all the way to the roof of the mouth. The sound is heavy, the sound runs, and along with the sound, there is air. Okay? Okay, now let's look at the letters seen and... Okay, let's look at the letters seen here, okay? They have the same picture for seen and zai. I'll just show it, I'll erase it for you here. so that you can see it. Okay. Again, in Sin and in Zai, both these letters have the same makhraj, that is the tip of the tongue touch is close to the plates of the lower central incisors. And both Sin and Zai, just look at this picture here, sisters, this one here. Look at this picture that I'm marking now. Okay, this one here. Look at this picture for Zai and Sin. Okay, so this is a picture. If you notice the back of the tongue here, the back of the tongue here, the back of the tongue here is lowered compared to the back of the tongue over here for Sod. The back of the tongue for Sod was raised up, but the back of the tongue for Sin and Zai is lowered. So what does that make it? When the back of the tongue is lowered, it makes the sound thin. And that's why it's called istifal or tarqiq. So let's write both these letters are tarqiq. Why? Because the back of the tongue is lowered. Okay. What else do I notice? In both these letters, Zai and Sin, there is running of sound. Okay. There's running of sound. Because why? There's no imprisonment here. There's a gap between the tip of the tongue and the plates of the teeth, and there is running of sound. No imprisonment of sound, right? So there is running of sound in both Zai and Sin. Okay, what is the difference between Zai and Sin? There is this difference. They have these two similarities, but there is a one big major difference between Zai and Sin. In Za, let me write this here. In Za, look at the right corner, sisters. There's the difference is no air. No air accompanies the sound. There is no hums in Zai. But in no air, no hums, okay, in Zai. And we make this always this mistake. We make hums in Zai. So don't make hums in Zai. As. We think as. That's wrong. Just focus on the sound running. As. There's no air along with the sound, okay? In Sin, however, there is air running. Okay, there is air running in Sin, but in Zai, there is no air. There is no hums in Zai, but there is hums in Sin. There is running of sound in Zai. There's also running of sound in Sin. So all the three letters, Sod, Za, and Sin have running of sound. The letters Sod and Sin also have running of air. Okay? While letter Za has no running of air. Okay? The letters Zai and Sin are from the letters that where the back of the tongue is lowered. So they are called letters of istifal or tarqiq. But Sod, the back of the tongue is raised all the way up to the roof of the mouth, which makes it a heavy letter or a tafkhim letter, or it's also called isti'ala letter. Okay, so now we did these three letters. So inshallah, I hope this makes sense. And inshallah, when we do sifatul huruf, it will make more sense, inshallah. Now you will understand why the letter is heavy, why the letter has strength, and why the letter has those certain sifat that that we couldn't understand before. Okay, inshallah. So سبحانك اللهم بحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم آمين يا رب